So here's the caveat, people. I am a very casual gamer. And by casual, I mean I've only played like one whole series in my entire lifetime. Granted, I do know the basics of video games and gaming culture in general as a result, but I realized right away that there was no way in hell I could approach the main concept of glitch techs without looking like a total poser. And so I'm like, okay, if you strip away all the gaming glamour, what is glitch techs at its core? A coming-of-age story about two passionate teenagers living their best lives. With that in mind, I realized after watching Season 2, 1B, that the most engaging part of this series for me was in fact, all the different kinds of relationships and how well they were handled. But we'll get to that in a sec. So what is glitch techs exactly? Well, the story is that GameStop and the Apple company had business sex and named their kid Hinobi, the biggest gaming company in the world. Unfortunately, their products are all pretty shit because they constantly spawn physical glitches that regularly terrorize the general populace. But instead of taking responsibility and imposing some quality control regulations, they decide to run a totally legal covert ops division where they have teenage dropouts run the totally legal task of containing these very lethal monsters. Also, any bystanders are subject to a totally legal memory wipe. Still, you can't go wrong with those employee benefits, dude. Anyway, the show revolves around Hinobi's two newest recruits, a couple of passionate gamers named High Five and Miko. And to be honest, it's kind of crazy just how endearing these kids are. And I don't just mean in that adorkable, constantly memeing kind of way. No, I'm talking more about their personal lives and the different kinds of people involved with them. If you hadn't noticed, this show's really kicking ass on the cultural diversity front. But I think it's also worth mentioning that glitch tech shows a hell of a lot of variety in regards to its interpersonal relationships, be it friendships, families, work colleagues, and even pets. So let's get the obvious out of the way. No, Five and Miko do not have, nor is there any fraction of a hint towards a romantic relationship. I know the fact that I even have to mention it is founded upon generations of TV execs being unable to fathom male and female lead characters not hooking up, but that isn't all. Five and Miko are best friends in the best possible way. They're very much similar because obviously they both like games and geeking out and shit, but they're also very different because of their backstories, playstyles, and personal values. Five grows accustomed to Miko moving and talking at 100 miles an hour, and Miko comes to appreciate Five's more linear and straightforward approach to life. And yeah, they don't always see eye to eye because of these differences, but they ultimately do embrace how the other half lives. And deadass, I just can't get over how fucking comfortable they are with each other. I can't even remember the last time I saw a pair of unrelated boy and girl characters of almost the same age be so platonically touchy-feely. I mean, just the way they constantly brush up and put their hands all over each other's body in a completely personal way without so much as a blush is just really refreshing, you know? Which isn't to say that Five and Miko have no shipping potential, of course. Do I look crazy to you? With chemistry like this? How could I not ship the fuck out of them? But the point is that even though I like the idea of Five and Miko hooking up, I could totally see these two satisfied with just being gamer bros. It all just speaks to a level of non-romantic intimacy they have that I honestly wish we could get more out of boy-girl friendships. But then we start getting into their home lives, and oh boy, do we have a lot to work with here. If you're looking for those nuclear families from the 1950s, this ain't the cartoon for it, folks. You've got Five being raised by two loving grandparents whose main business is running a dope-ass taco truck. And that's not even getting into the situation with Five's dad, who's currently doing time in the pen for hacking. But they make it readily apparent that even though he's a jailbird, he's not really a dick by any means. He was just a white-collar dude that made some poor choices, and he's clearly trying to support his son as best as he can. Miko's kind of got an opposite situation going on. Whereas Five's family are total bros about him being a gamer, her folks aren't necessarily as gung-ho about it. I mean, it's not like they have a hate boner for video games or anything. They just don't really get the culture behind it, and have trouble seeing it as something you can make a healthy livelihood off of, though they do try their best to be supportive. Even Miko's sisters, who give her a lot of shit at times, aren't actively being malicious. They just don't really understand that that's just how Miko rolls. Then we've got this dude right here. This is Mitch Williams, a fellow glitch tech, who's honestly kind of a massive prick. But you can't entirely hate the guy because damn does he have style. Anyway, it's revealed that he was once part of a group of VG streamers, but left to grow the fuck up and get a job. His siblings basically rely on him to enable their gaming addiction, and yeah, it's all very dangerously codependent. But even so, it's clear that they fundamentally do love each other, even if their relationship as a whole isn't all that healthy. If it wasn't already obvious, I'm a total sucker for non-traditional families. But to have them portrayed with this level of nuance is just the icing on the cake for me. Like, none of them are idealistically perfect or flat-out abusive or anything. They've all got their own unique problems, but we can get behind them because we can see that they're really trying to make the best of it. Same can be said about their relationships at work, too. I'm not gonna go too deep on the individual glitch techs, but they basically function like every other realistic work environment. They throw around a lot of banter, form crushes on your coworkers, talk shit about that one guy nobody likes, and do their best to look out for one another. I do want to talk about Phil, though, in particular. This older guy is their store manager, and anybody who's ever worked retail has had a boss like this at some point in their lives. He's getting on in years and is perpetually done with everybody's shit, but you still respect him because he knows the ropes and actually gets work done. I don't know, man, I just really like this guy. You can tell that he's a badass out in the field, but as a boss, he actually cares about having a healthy work environment for his employees, Mitch notwithstanding. And the last example I want to bring up is the pets, or virtual companion pets to be more precise. At some point, Mikko grows attached to this primary colored chicken thing, but when he starts breaking and Mikko doesn't want to replace him, Five is all like, "Girl, you know he's not real, right? He's just a fictional two-dimensional character who can't even reciprocate your feelings. What kind of degenerate gets emotionally attached to something like that?" But then Five goes on an adventure with this sick golem dude that really needs more screen time, and he's like, "Oh, I get it now." So even though their pets are essentially a conglomeration of pixels and data, Glitch Text actually does a pretty damn good job at showing us that there isn't anything wrong with that, and can actually be pretty healthy under the right circumstances. But yeah, all this in mind, I'd say that what Glitch Text surprised me the most is just how human it is. Like, I was fully prepared for this show to be all glitz and very little substance. But as it turns out, Glitch Text balances the gaming premise with the story's interpersonal relationships exceptionally well. The show's foundation of gamer culture, lingo, and pop culture references isn't just there. It's weaved in thematically for whatever personal problem our heroes are currently dealing with. And that attention to detail should be reason enough to open up your Netflix account and give it a shot. Because heaven knows, we're gonna fucking need it. Okay, but seriously, Netflix is about to royally screw over this series, so if you have any interest at all in watching it, please pump up those numbers. Anyway, if you like this video and you want to see more content like this, you can show your support by leaving a like, a comment, and subscribing to my channel. Until then, stay tuned!